Guys, what's going on? Joyce stops Alexander Ustinov in 3 rounds. I think, guys, we were all expecting Joyce to do a job on Alexander Ustinov. You know, he's not on the level. He's not at the level of a top level fighter anymore. I saw Michael Hunter beat the crap out of Ustinov, and he's just a big dude. And Joyce pummeled him. I didn't really watch the fight because I was watching the Taylor and Branchik fight, so I didn't see it. I caught bits of the Billy Joe fight, which I'll do post reactions for the Taylor and the Branchik fight, and the Billy Joe Saunders fight. But in terms of Joyce, Ustinov was a guy that, you know, he was just going to beat up, and I knew that. And, you know, he's a old, big guy that was just going to get battered, and that's what's happened. Joyce convincingly winning the fight. I think it's a tricky one for Joyce because Joyce, he's a good fighter. He's a guy that's got a lot of amateur pedigree, and he's old. When I mean old, 33, 34. He's not a spring chicken. So, you know, Frank Warren needs to move him at a very swift pace, and I'm pretty sure they're looking for a stiffer test. Now we need to steer him in there with guys like Chisora. You know, Stavern, he's beaten Stavern already, but your Chisoras of the world, and, you know, guys of that level. You know, he turned down, or he didn't really want to fight Dubois for the British title, I think, because he thought that Dubois was a step down, and it is. You know, Joyce needs to start fighting meaningful fights that are going to mean something, you know, in his career, because like I said, I don't really think Dubois and Gorman, these are young prospects that got a long time in the sport. Joyce hasn't got a long time in the sport. You know, he's a lot older, so he needs to start move on to European titles and world titles as soon as possible, really, because like I said, he hasn't got long in the sport. You know, he's got, maybe you would say, another couple years where he'd be at his peak. Now, I know that he was willing to go in there with Anthony Joshua to fill in for Miller, and his manager was talking about it the other day that Joyce wanted to fight Joshua. I don't think he's quite ready for a Joshua. I think Joshua even at any time would pummel him. I don't really like Joyce's style. If I'm honest with you, I think he's quite slow. You know, and I think someone like Joshua who's fast hands, who's strong and can punch like that, I think that's a recipe for disaster. Although one thing I will say for Joyce, I think Joyce is very tough. He's got a great chin, and he's very, very durable. But I just don't think he's got the punching power against someone like Joshua. I do think, like I said, he's very durable, very tough man. He takes a good shot, and I just don't like his style. Or, you know, what I see, his repertoire. I don't really like his movement. I think he's quite slow, but again, if you put the right opponent in front of him, he'll obliterate them, you know, and so far they've been matching him very well. I'd like to see him against, you know, a slick boxer. I think someone like Fury against Joyce is not a great fight for Joyce. I think Fury boxes his ears off, if I'm honest with you. That kind of style would be horrible for someone like Joyce. I think Joshua's obviously, again, I think not a great style for Joyce either, because I think Joshua is very big and strong and powerful, and I think Joyce is very slow, flat-footed, and I think Joshua would pummel him. That's just my opinion. But again, you know, Joyce is somebody you're going to have to be moved at quickly. Don't get me wrong, Joyce can fight. He's got a good amateur pedigree. I just don't think he's good enough to beat the top guys at the minute in the heavyweight division. He'll think otherwise, and he's got to prove us wrong. But I think a lot of us think that same thing about Joyce. He's a good fighter, and at a certain level, you'd probably see him beating all of the guys. But as soon as he steps up to the top elite level, you can't really see him beating guys like Fury, Joshua, Wilder. They, in my opinion, they beat Joyce quite comfortably. Even Dillian White, in my opinion, maybe too much for someone like Joyce. Just his style, and, you know, Parker, I think that might be tough for Joyce as well. I'm not a huge fan of Joyce unless he can change my perception with fighting somebody that's a top level fighter and doing a job on them. I'm not yet convinced that Joyce is able to compete with the top boys in the heavyweight division. But he's going to have to move quickly because he's not got time on his side. He is old. Old in the sense that, you know, he needs to move on and kick on, 33, 34. So he's got a couple years probably, you know, that you could say he's at his peak for the next couple of years, and then after that, you're probably going to say he's going to start dipping. But leave your thoughts, guys. What do you guys make of it? Joyce beating Alexander, or knocking out Alexander Ustinov in 3 rounds. Leave your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.